Mastery Chemistry. We are a team of teachers that teach chemistry here at Downers Grove South, but we are trying a new twist on this. And you and your student may not be familiar with it, so we're going to go over and hopefully give you some idea of what's going to occur in your child's classroom or your classroom if you're the student, and hopefully answer any of your questions throughout this. So my name is Mrs. Trust-Claire.
My name is Mr. Parker.
Mr. Howard.
Okay, so we're going to first start off with answering the question, what is a flipped classroom? So Mr. Parker, what is a flipped classroom?
Basically, with the flipped classroom, what you're looking at is the information that we would possibly typically deliver in a lecture form in class, is actually done through video. It could be YouTube clips, it could be other videos we find online, that your students will be typically watching at home, or if they have time in class, they'll be watching and following a particular format on how to take notes. And then with that background information, they can come into our class and the practice work that we would do, sometimes typically at home, we actually will do in class. So the kids are able to work together, that they're able to, that we're there able to help facilitate their learning and actually work more individually with them when they're doing that practice work than at home, maybe struggling with information and not having anyone there to help them out. And we have found that many of the students that I've been doing this for about 3 years now, many of the students have liked that way of doing the flipped classroom because it allows them to stop the video, take good notes, write down questions. That way when they come into class they feel a little more prepared and have more background knowledge. You know, we don't expect them to know everything, but we do expect them to come in with some background knowledge about the topic that we're discussing, we're going to be discussing.
Okay, so some of the students that are coming into our classroom have already been familiar with a flipped aspect. They may have done that in biology. The new thing that may be coming about is the mastery. So what exactly, Mr. Howard, is flipped mastery?
So flipped mastery is an individual student approach to learning the science content, or chemistry content to be specific. What we're also going to be focusing on is time management skills and organizational skills, where students are going to have to tell us what they're going to be doing each day in class. Now we're going to begin to teach them these skills, but as the year progresses on, they're going to have to do this independent of the teacher, or with limited involvement by the teacher themselves. We're still focused on the content. They're still going to be using things called learning targets, where you may have heard of those in the past, or have seen those in other classes this year. But we're going to be using those learning targets for the student to focus on their content. What this ultimately allows is a more one-on-one based instructional process with the teacher, or a small group teacher-directed discussion with students that are either struggling with the material or are looking to move beyond what our core curriculum is focusing on. So that's really a short answer to Flip the Mastery, and that's what we're going to be trying to do for this year. Thank you.
Okay, so if I was a parent and I was walking into your classroom, for instance, and I want to see what a flipped mastery classroom would look like, what would that look like?
Well, I think typically you would find, you know, if you figure rooms set up in different pods or different lab groups, you'd probably find some kids working at their desk with each other, maybe on some problem set or something like that, or putting together a procedure for a lab. You might have some kids doing a lab. You could have some kids watching videos, their lecture online, getting information that way. And what else would you add, Scott?
Well, I mean, Mr. Parker, you know, as the teacher, what are you going to be doing? Are you going to be lecturing to the kids in front of the whole entire room? Are they ever going to be sitting in their rows, or is it always that free-form style? And where do you fit in as the teacher in that process?
I would fit in more as like the facilitator of the information, kind of helping them, you know, maybe get some more organization to what they're doing. It allows me to get some individual time to walk around to the class, you know, different kids in the class, to go through them, sit down, actually get a chance to sit down with them and maybe do a few problems with them in a smaller setting, maybe 3 or 4 kids at a time. So typically, if you walk in a classroom, you probably won't see us sitting in rows, and you probably won't see you know, me standing up front and lecturing, unless it's a major concept that the whole group doesn't understand.
Right.
But typically, you'd find us kind of walking around the classroom, different groups maybe doing different things, but us helping them out, trying to make sure that they can master some of the material.
Oh, sounds like fun.
So just to let me get this straight. Basically, flipped classroom means that the kids are watching lectures that they normally would have watched in the classroom but at home, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And they're able to take notes. So when they come into the classroom, you're allowing them to move at their own pace. They don't have a set schedule or anything that they need to be done, told by you. They determine their schedule.
Right.
And what they need to accomplish.
We'll give them the framework of this quiz or this task or this lab needs to be done at this time, by this time, but they have the freedom of kind of figuring out how to get there with our help and guidance. And initially we kind of help them do that, as Scott has mentioned before, but then we'll kind of wean them off where they're going to have to kind of really organize their plan for their week.
So this seems like a really cool thing to be able to do. If I was a student and I caught on to a concept rather quickly, I could move fast and not be slowed down by those that may need extra help.
Exactly.
But if I was a kid who is struggling, I'm not going to feel like I'm holding back anybody, but I still have time to answer, ask questions, get the help from the teacher, get the information, and then I'm able to move on.
And
Right.
you might even get more help
Right.
than typically, because we might only need to serve at least 3 or 4 people at a time, and it's just us working with 3 or 4 kids at that time.
I think the advantage is that students might have the opportunity to get more direct instruction by their teacher on a small scale basis during classroom time, so they don't have to worry about coming in before school or after school and disrupting any family schedules or after school activity schedules, but they're getting a lot of their education done in class, which might be an advantage and a benefit to some kids. But still, help is going to be available before and after school for those parents that are worried that this structure might need some more facilitation.
Okay. Is there anything else you guys want to add?
No, that's good.
We're looking forward to a great year.
Yeah, and if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to email us at any time or give us a call and we'll help you answer those.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.